The elevator lobby of the Manhattan Tower sounds like a boiling pot every weekday morning. Heels and sneakers slap the marble floor, phones buzz, and the digital display for each elevator flips numbers like a slot machine that never pays out. Ella Carter barrels out of the subway, double-strap backpack bouncing against her spine, clutching an iced coffee that is already sweating through the paper sleeve. She glances at her phone and sees the time, 8:59 a.m. Her heart drops. 1 minute until the attendance system judges her entire existence. Oh come on, not today. She groans, breaking into a sprint. People instinctively part as she rushes toward the elevator bank. 2 cars are already full and closing. The one in the middle is about to shut its polished steel doors. Inside the elevator, Ethan Walker finally allows his shoulders to relax. He has already survived subway delays, a client email meltdown, and a spilled espresso on his tie. At least he made it into the elevator on time. Then a hand wedges between the closing doors. Wait, I swear I am not late yet. A voice shouts. The safety sensors catch Ella's hand. The doors bounce back and open again with an annoyed chime. She stumbles forward, hair escaping her low ponytail, breathing hard, backpack half off one shoulder. Ethan looks up, and of course it is her. The girl who always arrives 1 heartbeat too late. Her cheeks are flushed from running, eyes bright with panic and stubbornness. She braces her hand against the elevator frame and leans in, scanning the cramped space. It is packed with suits, laptops, tote bags, and the smell of 3 different colognes. She meets Ethan's gaze, and his chest tightens in a way he will not admit, because right now he needs something else more than honesty. He needs his personal space. Sorry, Ethan says, pushing his glasses up with one finger. We are full. Someone behind him mutters agreement. A bag presses against his back. The weight limit sign above their heads blinks menacingly. Ella freezes, half in, half out, blocked by a wall of shoulders. You cannot be serious, she says. You are all skinny finance people, you weigh like 12 pounds each. A few people laugh, but no one moves back. Ethan keeps his hands at his sides, jaw tight. The sensor is screaming at us, he says. If it overloads, we will all be stuck between floors. Again. The memory of that week when an elevator stalled for an hour is enough to make people flinch. Someone taps the closed door button repeatedly, as if encouragement will help. Ella's gaze darts to the red digital time display above the doors. 8:59 flips to 9 o'clock. Her chest sinks. Unbelievable. She mutters. Ethan Walker, you are officially an elevator thief. The doors start to shut again. She pulls her hand back before they bite her fingers, steps away, and glares through the narrowing gap. For a heartbeat, Ethan and Ella hold each other's stare. He looks composed and distant. She looks like she wants to punch the stainless steel. Then the doors close, sealing him inside and leaving her out in the chaos of the lobby. The car begins to rise. Ethan stares at his faint reflection in the brushed metal wall. A hint of pink tints his ears. He hears the faint thump of something hitting the outside of the door, probably her backpack in frustration, and he has to bite back a smile. 99. He has been counting. Outside, Ella spins on her heel and storms toward the other elevator bank. Her coffee sloshes dangerously, ice cubes clinking. The elevator to the far left opens with a cheerful ding, almost mocking her. She dives inside, stabbing the 17 button like it personally wronged her. Stupid classy tower with too few elevators. She grumbles. Stupid Ethan Walker and his stupid long legs that always get there first. Several strangers in the car glance at her. She flashes a brief, embarrassed smile. Sorry, commuter rage, she says. The doors close. The elevator starts its climb, slower than her pulse. By the time it reaches 17, she is rehearsing excuses in her head for her manager, and trying not to think about the man in the other elevator. When the doors open, she sprints down the hall and throws herself at her company's glass door. The sensor lights up red. Too late. Already locked to force everyone through the reception desk. Ella groans and drags herself toward the gate, scanning her badge and accepting her fate. On the wall near the elevator lobby of the 17th floor, a large corkboard is covered with colorful sticky notes. Most towers have minimalist art. This building has an anonymous message board that started as company announcements, and slowly evolved into a chaotic graffiti of doodles, jokes, and passive-aggressive complaints. Ella drops her bag on the bench beneath it, and rips a hot pink sticky note off the stack. She snatches a marker from the little plastic cup beside it, and starts scribbling furiously. She draws a cartoon elevator with jagged angry eyes and crammed stick figures. In front of the doors, She sketches a stick girl with wild hair and a backpack. Inside the box, there is a tall stick man with a square jaw and a tie. Above the elevator she writes in bold messy letters, 99th Miss Elevator Thief strikes again. Then she draws the tall stick man with a smug smile and a speech bubble that says, "Sorry, we are full." She adds a small caption at the bottom, "Tomorrow, 8:55 a.m. I declare war at the elevator doors." She signs the corner with a dramatic flourish. "The girl you robbed." She slaps the sticky note onto the board so hard it wrinkles, then steps back and surveys her work. "That will show him," she mutters, though she is not entirely sure how, since it is anonymous and mostly for her own satisfaction. "Rough morning?" a voice asks behind her. Ella turns to see Lucy, her coworker and self-appointed chaos coordinator, leaning against the wall with a paper bag of breakfast sandwiches in one hand and her phone already recording in the other. "You saw that?" Ella says. Lucy zooms in on the fresh pink sticky note and whistles. "Oh, I did not just see it. I witnessed history," she says. 99 misses? That is commitment. You two are not just enemies, you are a saga. "We are not anything," Ella says, grabbing her backpack. "He is a walking calendar reminder of my bad luck." Lucy wiggles her eyebrows. "Aha, sure, come on, elevator girl, you are late. Again." They hurry toward the agency entrance. Lucy sends the video straight into a group chat labeled Elevator Lovestory. The chat has more members than Ella realizes. People from both companies share short clips of almost encounters, dramatic near closings, and the ongoing war on the sticky note board. On the finance side of the floor, Ethan steps out of his elevator to the sound of coworkers chattering. He is met with the smell of burnt coffee and printer ink. He walks past the lobby board on autopilot, but the new pink square catches his eye. He pauses, reads the words, and feels a laugh tug at the corner of his mouth. Elevator thief. His gaze follows the cartoon stick man with glasses and a tie, labeled with an arrow that says, "Tall guy with less conscience than a revolving door." Heat rises to his face. He glances around. Nobody is looking at him. Still, he clears his throat and pretends to examine a company memo to buy himself a second. "She really wrote 'I declare war,'" he murmurs. He does not need a signature to know who did it. He can still hear her voice calling him a thief through the elevator doors. Ethan exhales slowly, pulls a blue sticky note from the stack, and raises his pen. With neat, disciplined handwriting completely different from Ella's scrawl, he draws a tiny white flag. Next to the cartoon elevator, he sticks his note and writes in small letters, 99th victory. Tomorrow, same time. Bring your best sprint. Losing party buys coffee. He hesitates, then adds a simple mark at the bottom instead of his name. 17th floor resident with a clear conscience. He steps back and takes in the two notes side by side. Pink and blue, accusation and reply. His lips curve into a hidden smile. He straightens his tie and heads for his desk, the image of an angry girl in sneakers and a backpack bouncing in his mind. Tomorrow will be the 100th time. One way or another, something is going to change. Ella's alarm goes off half an hour earlier than usual, which feels like a personal attack. She fumbles for her phone in the gray dawn of her studio apartment, slaps at the screen until the noise dies, then squints at the time. 7:00 a.m. Her pillow calls to her like a siren. She groans and throws an arm over her eyes. "I am doing this for revenge," she tells the ceiling. "And maybe for coffee." Images from yesterday replay in her mind. The elevator doors, his unreadable face, the sticky note with the white flag, and tidy handwriting. Losing party buys coffee. Smug finance robot. She mutters, swinging her legs off the mattress. She takes the fastest shower of her life, twists her hair into a messy bun, and throws on jeans, a striped t-shirt, and a blazer that makes her look almost like a functioning adult. She grabs her backpack, shoves her laptop and sketchbook inside, and bolts out the door with toast between her teeth. By the time she reaches the street, the city is fully awake. Taxis honk. A dog strains against its leash, dragging its owner toward a patch of grass. Street vendors set up carts loaded with bagels and dollar coffee. Ella forces herself not to stop. Elevator war, elevator war, elevator war. She chants under her breath. She catches an earlier subway, squeezes into a packed car, and spends the whole ride imagining all the ways Ethan could cheat. What if he takes a different elevator? What if he pretends to forget? What if he starts 5 minutes earlier just to watch her lose again? When she emerges into the lobby of their building, the digital clock above reception reads 8:47 a.m. She has time. She feels strangely giddy. Maybe it is the lack of sleep. Maybe it is the fact that for once, she is here, standing in the lobby, and he is the one who does not know it yet. She takes a deep breath and positions herself in front of the central elevator. Her sneakers squeak faintly on the polished floor. Lucy appears at her side like she teleported there. "You think I would miss the 100th battle?" Lucy says, brandishing her phone. "Our group chat has bets going. You are the underdog, but I believe in the power of spite. I do not want to know the odds." Ella says, rolling her shoulders back. "I just need to win this time. Remember the terms." Lucy says. "Winner gets bragging rights for eternity and free coffee." "I am not in it for the coffee." Lucy snorts. "Sure, and I am not here for the drama." The elevator lobby begins to fill. Ethan arrives at 8:53 a.m. as precisely as a scheduled train. He wears a navy suit, a pale blue shirt, and an expression that says he is totally calm, even though his pulse jumps when he sees who is already waiting. Ella stands with her feet shoulder-width apart, like she is about to run a race. Her backpack is snug, and her eyes are locked on the elevator display. He comes to stand a few feet away, giving her space, but close enough that he can feel the faint citrus scent of her shampoo. "You are early," he says. "Get used to it," she replies, not looking at him. There is a buzzing energy around them. People sense something is about to happen. Lucy whispers commentary into her phone for the chat. And here we have them, ladies and gentlemen. Elevator rivals number 1 and 2, about to face off for the ultimate prize. Pride. A ding breaks the tension. Elevator A is descending from 22. The numbers tick down. Ethan glances sideways at Ella. "Ready?" he asks. "I was born ready," she says, bouncing on the balls of her feet. The doors are still closed when they both start to move. Ella sprints, ponytail streaming behind her, laughter bursting from her throat. Ethan strides quickly, but his legs are longer, his moves more controlled. He could beat her easily. He knows that. At the last moment, as the doors slide open, he slows down. Then fate reminds them both who is really in charge. Ella's sneaker lands on a small puddle of melted ice from someone's cup. Her foot slides. She loses balance and pitches forward. The lobby spins. She does not hit marble. Strong hands catch her around the waist. For one wild second, she ends up against Ethan's chest. His coffee cup flies from his hand in slow motion, spinning through the air, sending a graceful arc of latte across his shirt. The elevator car full of employees gasps collectively. Someone drops a briefcase. The spilled coffee splatters onto Ethan's tie, drips down the crisp line of his shirt, and stains the front of his jacket. "Oh my God." Ella blurts. "I am so sorry, I did not see the puddle, I swear I did not mean dash." He is warm, and his heart beats hard against her shoulder. He sets her gently upright, but does not let go until he is sure she will not fall again. "I am fine," he says, though he looks down at the brown mess on his shirt and winces. "Please tell me this was at least good coffee." Ella glances at the logo on the cup now rolling away. "It was the expensive place," she says. "Imported beans, complex aroma, something notes of chocolate." "So you just baptized my only clean shirt with a $12 latte," he says. Ella bites her lip, then starts to laugh, an incredulous bubble that she cannot hold in. "I will buy you a new one," she says. "The shirt, not the latte, although I guess I owe you both." Behind them, Lucy squeals. "He caught her. He actually caught her," she narrates. "And we have coffee sacrifice. This is premium content." The elevator chimes impatiently. Doors begin to close. Ella and Ethan turn at the same time, but they are too far away. The doors shut, sealing away their witnesses. Ella looks at the closed elevator, then at Ethan's ruined shirt. "So, nobody got on the elevator," she says. "Apparently not," he replies. "Does that mean the battle is a draw?" Ethan considers this, then smiles, the expression transforming his usually serious face. "I will allow a rematch," he says. "But I am still taking the coffee." "You lost the latte," she points out. "Technically that coffee died a hero." "I will accept a live replacement," he says. "You still in for the deal?" The nerves fluttering in her stomach have nothing to do with competition now. "Fine," she says. "I will buy you a peace offering, after work." "That sounds suspiciously like a date," he says. Her cheeks burn. "It is a truce meeting," she insists. "With caffeine." He does not argue. Instead, he steps back and gestures to the next elevator that arrives. "Ladies first," he says. She hesitates, then walks in. He follows. The car fills quickly, coworkers pressing in around them. Their shoulders brush. As the doors close and the elevator begins to rise, Ella catches their reflection in the mirrored panel. Her messy bun, his stained shirt, the thin inches between them. Lucy sends a message to the group chat. Update, they both missed the 100th elevator and scheduled coffee. I repeat, coffee. Place your bets now. The truce takes shape in the weeks that follow, scribbled 1 square inch at a time on the sticky note board. It starts that same afternoon. Ella sketches 2 chibi characters holding coffee cups, one with a tie covered in stains. She writes, debt paid, coffee treaty signed. When she checks the board later, someone has added a neat reply under her drawing. Treaty accepted. Terms subject to renewal. E. She stares at the tiny initial. E-ha. She murmurs. There are other ES on the floor. Aaron in Human Resources. Emmanuel in IT. But the way he draws a straight line for the stem, and slightly tilts the middle bar to the right feels familiar, like his posture at the elevator doors. The next morning, when Ella arrives only 5 minutes before 9, there is already a new note pinned near the top of the board. It is a tiny, perfect bar chart in blue pen. Label A. On time. Label B. Barely made it. Label C. Definitely late. The bar 4. Barely made it. Is towering. Underneath, in small script, it reads, educated guess at your personal statistics. Ella laughs so loudly that a passing partner from the law firm next door gives her a look. Rude. She says, pulling a yellow sticky note and responding. She draws a stick figure with frizzy hair sleeping at a desk. Caption. Educated guess at yours. Next to it, she adds a second stick figure hunched over a computer with a speech bubble that says, just one more spreadsheet. They fall into a rhythm. Some mornings they miss each other completely, leaving only ink as evidence they exist in parallel. Other days, their schedules collide, and they share the elevator with half the building. On those rides, conversation is minimal and careful. Big client presentation. He asks once, eyeing her folder stuffed with color prints. Big pitch. She says, big chance to embarrass myself in front of the entire internet. You will be fine. He says. She snorts. Tell that to my shaking hands. He glances down. From this close, he can see the faint tremor. Without announcing his intention, he shifts his portfolio into his left arm and taps his right knuckles lightly against her backpack. You handled coffee all over my shirt like a pro. He says. A slideshow is nothing. After that, every time she has a stressful day, she finds a little note waiting. Good luck with the storyboard meeting. You survived review day. Level up unlocked. I had to sit through a 3-hour budget lecture. If I can live, so can you. Lucy can barely contain herself. You know this is basically old school flirting, right? She says as they stand in front of the board, reading the latest exchange. You guys are writing a romance novel, 1 square at a time. It is not flirting. Ella says, though her cheeks heat. It is anonymous sarcasm. You drink coffee together now, Lucy says. Regularly. On purpose. The coffee treaty has become a standing appointment. Every Thursday afternoon, when the day feels endless, they meet at the small cafe in the building lobby. At first it is under the pretense of settling elevator scores. Then excuses fade, and the coffees remain. They sit by the window, watching the street traffic, sharing stories about nightmare bosses and weird coworkers. At least your office has color. Ethan says one day. Our side feels like someone designed it using a grayscale palette and sadness. You have free sparkling water. Ella points out. We have a vending machine that eats coins in our souls. Trade. He offers. She laughs. Maybe just for an hour. They almost never talk about what happens when they are not together. Still, small details slip out. He mentions his mother texting him weather updates from their hometown like he cannot see the sky himself. She jokes about her father mailing her coupons she will never use because he thinks New York grocery prices will murder her. Between jokes, there are quieter moments. Why finance? She asks him once, fingers tracing the cardboard sleeve of her cup. Why advertising? He counters. She grimaces. I like drawing. I like storytelling. I do not love being told which shade of blue tests best with millennials. He considers his answer more carefully. I like patterns. He says. Things that make sense eventually, even if they do not at first. He does not say. I like knowing there is a right answer if I work hard enough. But it hangs in the air between them. The office rumor mill churns as always. When something new appears on the sticky note board, someone is ready to interpret it. Brian, one of Ethan's colleagues, watches the exchanges with narrowed eyes. His own performance reviews have always been a step behind Ethan's, and the steady praise Ethan receives grates on him like sandpaper. "Can you believe this elevator nonsense?" he says loudly near the coffee machine one morning. Adults treating sticky notes like their personal diary. At least it is entertaining. Another analyst says. Better than corporate memos. Please. Brian scoffs. They are not flirting. They are using the board to fight. I saw Carter roll her eyes at Walker yesterday like she wanted to throw him down the shaft. Maybe that is just your projection. Someone else mutters, but the seed is planted. By lunchtime, Brian has told 3 people that Ella and Ethan hate each other. By the end of the week, he has upgraded the story. They had a huge argument in the elevator. He says to anyone who will listen. She dumped coffee on him on purpose. He nearly reported her to HR. The story twists as it travels, like a crumpled sticky note passed too many times. Some coworkers begin to glance at Ella with sideways sympathy in the hallway, as if she has a temper problem. Others treat Ethan with cautious distance. Ella does not realize what is happening until Lucy slams her salad fork down in the break room. "Okay, who do I have to fight?" Lucy demands. Ella blinks. "Please do not fight anyone. My student loan debt cannot afford to bail you out. Someone is telling people that you assaulted Ethan with coffee in the elevator." Lucy says, eyes flashing. "On purpose. It was an accident." Ella says slowly. "Everyone saw that." Apparently Brian has been busy rewriting history. Lucy says. "He says you two cannot stand each other. He called you oil and water at the vending machine." Ella's jaw drops. Oil and water? That is the least romantic metaphor I have ever heard. "Focus," Lucy says. "Aren't you mad?" Ella feels heat burn in her chest, different from the usual embarrassment. She thinks of the way Ethan listened to her talk about her art school dreams, the way he caught her at the elevator, the neat notes with hidden jokes. She stands up so fast her chair squeaks. "I am livid," she says. "And I am going to do something about it." "Careful," Lucy warns. Brian is a snake with a LinkedIn. Ella stalks toward the elevator lobby, fists clenched. She is halfway to the sticky note board when she sees Ethan there already, reading something with his shoulders straighter than usual. He looks up as she approaches. His expression is calm, but there is tension at the corners of his mouth. Brian has a big mouth. He says quietly. "So you heard." She says. "I heard 3 different versions." He says. "All of them creative and wrong." Her anger softens, leaving determination. "Then we correct the narrative," she says. He raises an eyebrow. "How?" She pulls a fresh purple sticky note and writes in bold letters. "Public statement." Then she draws 2 cartoon figures, one with a messy bun, one in a tie. They stand side by side, holding coffee cups. Between them, instead of a lightning bolt, she draws a heart-shaped speech bubble. Underneath, she writes. "We argue with sarcastic sticky notes, not with coffee. We are allies against Monday mornings. All rumors to the contrary can ride the emergency stairs." She slaps the note in the center of the board. Ethan watches, lips twitching. Then he adds a smaller green note below it. "Fact check, she apologized 3 times for the coffee and offered to buy me a new shirt. I declined the shirt, accepted the coffee. 0 reports filed, 0 grudges held." He signs this one clearly. Ethan W. Ella's eyes widen. "You signed your name," she says. "So did you," he replies, nodding toward a corner where she once left a doodle of herself labeled. Ella, chronic almost late person. She winces. "I forgot I did that." Apparently Brian forgot to read. Ethan says. His tone stays mild, but his gaze is direct. "I confronted him." Her eyebrows shoot up. "What did you say?" "I told him if he continued spreading lies about you, I would CC every manager he has ever met on my email correcting the story." Ethan says. "I also reminded him that HR loves documentation." Ella stares at him, heart thudding. "You defended me?" she asks. "I corrected inaccurate data," he says, but there is a faint pink flush at his collar. The 2 of them stand in front of the board, side by side, as coworkers start to trickle past. People slow to read the notes. Someone snorts at the line about emergency stairs. Someone else murmurs, "Oh," in a tone that says they have just rearranged a whole set of assumptions. Lucy snaps a photo from a distance and sends it to the chat with a caption. "Rumor demolished. Sticky note power couple rising." Ella steals a glance at Ethan. "Thank you," she says softly. He shrugs. "I did not want anyone to think you were the kind of person who weaponizes coffee." "I would never," she says. He moves a fraction closer, and their arms almost touch. I know, he says. For a moment, the noise of the office fades. The board in front of them is full of colors, but all Ella can see is the neat green square with his name next to hers. Friday arrives heavy with rain. Storm clouds hang low over the city, turning glass towers into smudged gray shapes. Thunder rumbles faintly as office workers rush to finish tasks before the weekend. By 5:30, the weather has worsened. Sheets of water slam against the building. People hesitate by the windows, eyeing the downpour. Ella shuts down her computer and stretches. Her shoulders ache from hunching over a storyboard all afternoon. I am leaving before I merge with my chair permanently, she tells Lucy. Wait for me, Lucy says. I need 2 minutes to send this file, and another 5 to complain about it. Ella laughs and shakes her head. If I wait, I will lose my nerve and end up working until 9, she says. Text me if the ceiling falls in. She grabs her backpack and heads for the elevator. The lobby is quieter than usual. Most people either fled early or resigned themselves to a long night. The sticky note board glows softly under the recessed lights, a patchwork of color against the neutral wall. Ella glances at it and smiles. A new note has appeared there since lunch. It is a simple arrow pointing toward the elevators with the words, "If you make it down before the flood, Thursday coffee is on me next week." Signed, of course, E. She traces the corner of the note with her eyes, warmth spreading through her chest. She is still smiling when the elevator doors open. Ethan steps out of another car at the same moment, holding his laptop bag over his head like a shield against imaginary rain. He stops when he sees her. Heading out? He asks. Trying to outrun the storm, she says. What about you? Quarterly reports can wait until Monday, he says. I would like my spinal cord to remain in one piece. They walk together toward an open elevator. The car is empty, unusual for this hour. Ella presses 17 without thinking, even though he usually goes to the same floor. He hits lobby. Guess we are sharing, he says. Guess we are, she replies. The doors slide shut. The elevator hums and begins its descent. For the first few floors, it is ordinary. The faint music, the soft lighting, the smooth glide. Then there is a jolt. It is sharp enough to make Ella grab the rail. Ethan braces his feet apart instinctively. The panel lights flicker, then go dark for a beat, before the emergency system kicks in with a dimmer glow. The elevator shudders, stops. They both look at the floor indicator. 15, Ella swallows. Did we just stop? She asks. Looks like it, Ethan says, calmly, but his eyes flick to the panel, checking for any error messages. There are no buttons lit except the ones for their selected floors. Ethan presses lobby again. Nothing happens. He presses the emergency call button. A soft ring sounds, followed by static. Hello? A crackling voice answers eventually. This is building security. This is Ethan Walker from 17, he says. We seem to be stuck between floors. Yes, sir. The voice replies. We are aware of a power issue. The storm is affecting the system. Our technician is on the way. Please remain calm. You are safe. Any estimate on how long it will take? Ethan asks. Hard to say at the moment. The guard says. We will keep the line open. The intercom clicks off. Silence presses in, broken only by the faint hum of emergency power and the distant sound of rain pounding against the building. Ella's fingers tighten on the rail until her knuckles blanch. Okay, she says. Okay, we are stuck. It is fine. This is fine. Her voice is too bright. Ethan glances at her hands, then at her face. Her eyes are wide, pupils bigger than usual. You claustrophobic? He asks gently. I am completely chill, she says. Then the elevator creaks faintly, and she sucks in a sharp breath. Okay, that was a lie. I hate small dark boxes suspended in the air. They are not my favorite. He steps a little closer, not crowding, but closing the space enough that she can feel him there. It is not dark, he says. We have lights, and you are not alone. This is the part where you tell me to imagine I am in a safe place, right? She says, trying to joke. Like a field of flowers or something. If that helps. He says. What is your safe place? She stares at him. Right now, a couch. He smiles. Okay, then we are on a couch. With snacks. She adds. He nods. Plenty of snacks. And no broken elevator cables. She lets out a strangled laugh. That is a very specific image to deny. Sorry, he says. I am not great at guided meditation. Her breathing is still too fast. Ethan glances at the call button. Security? He says. Just checking in. We are still here, sir. The guard's voice says. The technician is arriving now. The elevator is secure. It is just the system that needs a reset. Thank you. Ethan says. He looks back at Ella. See? They have it under control. She nods, but the walls still feel too close. I have always taken the stairs when I can, she says. 17 floors is just a lot of stairs. Think of it as a very slow vertical Uber, he says. With only one passenger. 2, she corrects. He tilts his head. Right. 2. Their eyes meet. In the muted emergency light, his features are softer, shadows smoothing the sharp lines. Her hair has escaped its clip, curling around her face. So, she says, swallowing. While we are hanging here, suspended between the 15th floor and death, can I ask you something? We are not suspended between the 15th floor and death. He corrects. We are suspended between the 15th floor and slightly less height. Ethan, she warns. He holds up his hands in surrender. Ask away. She takes a deep breath. When did you start counting? She asks. He blink. Counting what? Elevator misses. She says. You knew yesterday was 99. That means you were counting before I was. He looks down at his shoes, then back up. The first time I noticed you was months ago. He admits. You dropped an entire stack of storyboards right as the doors closed. I did not have time to react. I just stood there like an idiot while you were on the other side picking up papers. She remembers, faintly, a blur of embarrassment and scattered work. I thought I imagined you looking. She says. You did not. He says. Then it kept happening. I would be in the car already, and you would sprint up just as the doors shut. Or you would make it inside, and I would be stuck waiting for another. At some point, it started to feel like the building was playing a joke on us. So you kept track. She says. It gave me something to do while I waited. He says lightly. A small, fragile hope unfurls in her chest. Why did you never say anything? She asks. He hesitates. I did not want to come off as the creepy guy who memorizes a stranger's elevator schedule. He says. And you always looked so determined. I did not want to ruin your last-second victories. Those were not victories. She says. Those were desperate attempts to avoid being late. His lips quirk. Still, they were impressive. She studies him. I started counting after the 5th time. She admits. You always got there first. I started thinking of you as the elevator boss. He groans softly. That is the worst villain name. It fits. She says. Cold, efficient, obsessed with doors. That is oddly accurate. He says. Though I would argue I have hidden depths. Her shoulders relax without her noticing. The elevator creaks again, but this time she does not flinch as hard. So, she says quietly, if the building was playing a joke on us, what do you think it wants now? He meets her gaze. Maybe it wants us to stop missing each other. He says. Something in her chest stutters. You mean like? She starts. Like maybe it is tired of us relying on sticky notes. He says. When there is a perfectly good reality right here. Her breath catches. Ethan. She says, warning and invitation tangled in her voice. He steps closer, slow enough that she can move away if she wants. I like you, Ella. He says. Not just as an opponent in elevator races. Not just as a sticky note artist. As you. The person who complains about focus groups and still cares about every storyboard. The person who will sprint across a lobby for a chance to be on time. Her throat tightens. And I have been an idiot about it. He adds. Pretending I care more about door sensors than about talking to you. She lets out a watery laugh. You are very good at pretending to be a robot. She says. But I noticed you have a heart when you chose coffee over revenge. He searches her face. How do you feel? He asks. The elevator hums softly around them. Rain drums against the building like 100 fingers tapping impatiently. Ella looks at him, really looks. At the tension in his jaw, the uncertainty in his eyes, the way his hand hangs at his side, close enough that their fingers could touch if she reached. I was mad at you, at first. She says. You represented everything that made me feel late and messy, but then you started leaving notes that made me laugh on mornings I wanted to cry. You listened to me babble about color palettes. You defended me when you did not have to. She takes a small step forward. And somewhere between the 93rd miss and the coffee treaty, I started looking forward to seeing you more than I dreaded the elevator. His eyes soften. So, he prompts. So maybe I am done missing you. She says. For a heartbeat, the world shrinks to the small space between them. Then the elevator jolts again. They both reach out, grabbing each other's arms on instinct. They cling together as the car lurches, then settles. The panel flickers. The floor number changes from 15 to 14. We are moving. Ethan breathes. Ella laughs, a wild, relieved sound. Of course, she says. The building has the worst timing. He is still holding her. She is still within reach. Sooner or later we had to hit the ground. He says. We can finish this conversation on a floor that is not floating. She squeezes his hand. Promise? She asks. Promise, he says. The elevator restarts its slow descent, carrying them toward whatever comes next. When the doors finally open on the lobby, a small crowd is waiting. Security guards, a building technician with a toolbox, a receptionist clutching a walkie-talkie, and a few bored employees, who stuck around just in case something dramatic happened. Lucy is in front, phone held at the ready like a microphone. Oh, thank God, she says when she sees Ella step out. You are alive. I was about to start negotiating with the building for your release. Ella blinks at the bright lights and the cluster of people. Ethan follows close behind, hair slightly mussed, sleeves rolled up. How long were we in there? He asks. 25 minutes. The technician says. System hiccup. Storm knocked the sensors weird. We had to reset everything. Felt longer. Ella mutters. Lucy scans them from head to toe, eyes narrowing like a detective. You are holding hands, she says. Ella looks down. Their fingers are still interlaced. Heat rushes to her face. She starts to pull away, but Ethan tightens his grip just enough that she pauses. Brian appears at the edge of the crowd, eyes sharp and eager for gossip. Wow, he says loudly. Guess near-death experiences really bring people together. Or did you throw coffee at him again while you were trapped? Several heads swivel toward him. The air shifts from relieved to awkward. Ethan's jaw clenches. Brian, he says evenly. Not the time. I am just saying. Brian shrugs. People were already talking. About you two fighting. About how you think she is unprofessional and she thinks you are an uptight jerk. Ella's stomach twists. Even now, he is trying to turn the moment into a spectacle. Lucy steps forward, but Ethan squeezes Ella's hand and moves first. Enough, he says. His voice is calm, but it carries. Everyone quiets. For the record, he says, looking straight at Brian. I do not think Ella is unprofessional. I think she is one of the most dedicated people I have met in this building. He turns, addressing the semicircle of onlookers. You might have heard stories about coffee and elevators. He continues. Here is the truth. We had an accident with a latte months ago. She apologized. I accepted. We turned it into a private joke. He pauses, then glances at Ella. Less private now, I guess. He says. Her heart hammers. On impulse, she draws herself up and lifts their joined hands slightly. And for the record, she says, voice steady. I do not think Ethan is an uptight jerk. I think he is the guy who stayed calm in a broken elevator, who made sure I could breathe, who defended me when people twisted what happened. She looks directly at Brian. If you have a problem with that, you can take the stairs, she adds. A smattering of laughter ripples through the crowd. Someone claps once, then stops, then starts again more confidently. The tension dissipates a little. Lucy leans in with a conspiratorial grin. So, she says, stage whisper loud enough for half the lobby to hear. Are we finally calling this what it is? Ethan glances at Ella. She nods, a tiny, brave motion. We are dating, he says. The word lands between them like a small, solid stone, anchoring everything that has been floating. Lucy squeals. I knew it. She crows. Elevator love story canon confirmed. Brian's face twists. Wow, he says. So much for keeping workplace boundaries. Hope HR enjoys the show. Ethan's eyes harden. Our companies are separate, he says. We do not report to each other, and we do not need your approval. The receptionist, who has seen more office scandals than she cares to count, raises a hand. As long as you are honest and professional during work hours, we do not care who you share elevators with, she says dryly. Laughter breaks out, real and relieved. Even the security guard chuckles. Security to all units. The guard says into his walkie-talkie. Elevator incident resolved. No casualties. 2 people emerged holding hands. Copy that. A crackling voice replies. Send them the congratulations memo. Ella covers her face, laughing into her palm. This is mortifying, she whispers. It is manageable, Ethan says. At least we controlled the story this time. Lucy already has her phone out, thumbs flying. Announcing to the group chat that we have officially moved from will they want they to they did, she says. Any objections? Ella shakes her head. At this point, secrecy seems pointless. She says. Besides, Ethan adds, we never were very subtle. He glances toward the 17th floor indicator, then at Ella. What do you say we take the stairs this time? He asks. Give the elevators a rest. She squeezes his hand. As long as you carry my backpack when I start regretting this halfway up. She says. You drive a hard bargain. He replies. As they start toward the stairwell, Lucy calls after them. Hey, before you disappear, sticky note board, you owe us an update. Ella groans. Of course we do. They detour to the wall of notes. The board is already crowded, but the center has a little open space, as if waiting. Ethan hands her a pen. Your art, your announcement. He says. She hesitates, then draws two stick figures in an elevator, both smiling. Above their heads, she writes. Officially writing together now. Thanks for the 99 almosts. Underneath, she adds. Elevator relationship status in motion. She signs it simply. Ella. Ethan adds a smaller note beside it with his careful script. Confirmed. All future coffee incidents are consensual. Ethan. Lucy snaps a picture and sends it to the chat, where hearts and screaming emojis flood in seconds later. Ella steps back and looks at the board. Their journey is there in fragments. The anger. The jokes. The tiny moments that led to this. You realize people are going to take photos with this like it is some tourist attraction. She says. Good. Ethan says. Maybe it will inspire someone else to stop letting the doors close. She looks up at him, and the warmth in his eyes makes her forget the stares around them. Come on, boyfriend. She says softly. Show me if you can handle 17 flights. He grins. Try to keep up. He says. They head for the stairs, hand in hand, leaving the elevator behind for the night. 1 month later, the sticky note board has evolved from a complaint wall into an unofficial museum of their relationship. The original. Elevator thief. Note is still there, edges curling. Beside it, the tiny white flag. The coffee treaty. The public statement. Their dating announcement. Newer notes appear in between. Little snapshots of shared days. First official date, rooftop ramen. 10 out of 10, would slurp again. In Ella's handwriting. She beat me at mini golf. Twice. I demand a rematch. In Ethan's. Important discovery, he talks in his sleep about quarterly returns. From Ella. She drools on my shoulder during movie nights. Adorable, 0 complaints. From Ethan. Other people have started leaving their own little updates. Someone announces a promotion. Someone else draws a doodle of the elevator technician as a superhero, cape made of cables. Every morning, Ella and Ethan meet at the doors at 8:55 a.m. He stands with 2 coffees, one with extra caramel. She arrives with a pastry split neatly in half. You could just text me when you are close. He says one day. We do not have to rely on timing anymore. But where is the drama in that? She teases. Besides, I like knowing you are there, waiting. He smiles. Me too. Their routines knit together in 100 small ways. They walk home in the evenings when the weather behaves, sharing umbrellas and stories. They trade playlists. She drags him to art exhibits. He drags her to a financial literacy workshop, which she enjoys more than she expects. You mean I can make my money do something other than disappear? She says afterward. It is a revolutionary concept. He replies. On Sunday afternoons, they alternate apartments, cooking experimental meals. The first attempt at homemade sushi ends in disaster and laughter. The second attempt goes slightly better. You are aware that we could just order takeout. Ethan says as rice sticks to his fingers. Where is the character development in that? She says. At work they keep it professional. They meet at the board, exchange notes, and return to their respective floors. People still talk, but the gossip has settled into a fond buzz rather than barbed speculation. Brian avoids them now. The rumor he tried to start backfired, so spectacularly, that his own reputation took a hit. A quiet word from HR about responsible communication punctured whatever venom he had left for the sticky note saga. One Friday, as spring starts to nudge winter out of the city, Ella arrives early to find Ethan already waiting with an unusual expression. Morning, she says. You look like you swallowed an important secret, and it is trying to fight its way out. He takes a breath. Walk with me? He asks. She glances at the elevator. Are we abandoning our chariot? She jokes. Just temporarily. He says. Curious, she follows him away from the lobby, and around a corner to a smaller hallway she has never noticed. At the end of it is a plain door with a small brass sign. Rooftop access. It reads. Her eyes widen. You have a key to the roof, she says. Perks of winning the annual employee suggestion contest. He explains. I proposed a microwave labeling system that prevented passive-aggressive email wars. Apparently, that is worth something. He produces a key card, swipes it, and opens the door. A narrow stairwell leads up. They climb, emerging into sunlight and wind. The rooftop is surprisingly peaceful. A few potted plants cluster in one corner. A metal railing rings the edge, overlooking the city. The storm that trapped them in the elevator feels far away now. The sky is clear, pale blue stretched wide. Wow. She breathes. You have been hiding this from me. I was waiting for the right moment. He says. The breeze tugs at her hair. She turns to him. So what is the occasion? She asks. He slips his hand into his pocket and pulls out something small and square. A sticky notepad. The classic neon kind. I thought we could make a new tradition. He says. Off the board. Just ours. He tears off the top sheet, hesitates, then writes carefully. She watches his hand move, curiosity blooming. He hands her the note. On it, in his familiar neat handwriting, are 4 simple words. No more almosts, okay. Her throat tightens. She looks up at him. After all that time chasing elevators, he says quietly. After all those near misses, I am done leaving things to chance. I want to choose you, on purpose, every time. Her eyes sting. That is dramatic. She says, voice thick. In a good way. I have been practicing. He says. Hanging around an ad agency will do that to a man. She laughs and wipes at her eyes. So this is like a rooftop sticky note proposal? She asks. What exactly are you proposing, Mr. Walker? He flushes, then steadies himself. I am proposing that we keep doing this. He says. The coffees. The stairs. The stupid board. The conversations in broken elevators, but preferably not the broken part. I am not asking for a ring. I am asking for time, for commitment, for us to stop assuming the doors will close and start holding them open. The city hums below them. A taxi honks far away. A pigeon flaps overhead. Ella takes the pen from his hand and pulls a note of her own. She writes slowly, carefully. Then let us be late together sometimes. She sticks her note next to his on the low wall, by the roof access door. So when the clock says we should be rushing, she says, we can decide to stay, to talk. To not miss the good stuff because we are scared of being late for something else. He studies her words, then her face. Deal. He says. He leans down, and she meets him halfway. Their kiss is soft and certain, the opposite of an accidental collision. When they pull back, she is smiling through lingering tears. Do you realize we technically missed our usual elevator window because of this? She asks. I will risk it. He says. Later that morning, they step into the lobby together. A little late, and not bothered by it. Lucy spots them immediately. Why are you glowing? She demands. And why do you look like you just discovered a new religious experience on the roof? Trade secret, Ella says, but she cannot hide her grin. Ethan presses the elevator button. When the doors open, they walk in side by side. No sprint, no race, no panic. He hits 17. She leans against his shoulder, and he does not move away. As the elevator rises, their reflections blend in the mirrored panel. 2 people who spent months missing each other by seconds now sharing the same small space, not as strangers, but as something solid. When the doors slide open, they step out together. Lucy sends one last update to the group chat. Status report: elevator love story complete. New chapter title: No More Misses. That night, on the sticky note board, a new note appears in the corner. It is a simple drawing of an open elevator door, light spilling out. Caption: Missed you 99 times. Chose you on the 100th and every day after. Signed, this time, by both of them, Ella and Ethan. Because in a city where people rush past each other without looking up, where doors close constantly, they found a way to pause, to wait, and to step inside together. And that made all the difference.
Thanks for watching. Follow for more romance stories.